This conference will now be recorded.
Fine. So when you look at any website, for example, I open this redis.com. You can open any website and check it out. So that will be a header element, and in most of the websites, there will be a footer. Okay. So in redis.com, you see at the bottom, there, let's say you have a small bar indicating, okay, copyright, okay, and all the, let's say, the most frequently used links. So in the footer, you'll be having, let's say, all the links. So the company might give their email ID and everything, contact form, and in, let's say, the social media links, for example. I'll go to this Reliance Digital. Okay, so when you look at this website, this is a website belonging to, let's say, Reliance Digital. I'll come to the footer section. See, in the footer section, what are they given? They given all the product categories, okay, and then the resource center policies, etc. Now they have differentiated between the main page and footer by giving a different background color. See, the footer has got a navy blue colored background. Okay, now let's say the web page has got a lighter background color. Okay, so this is the footer, and they also given, told you how to, let's say, to download link, and then follow us, Facebook, Twitter, okay, then YouTube, and then Instagram. And when you click on this, they haven't activated the link. When they activate the link, you can connect to the social media page, the company's social media page, and then the disclaimer about the products, etc. Right? Okay. Now, when so, let us see how to design a footer today. Now, when you look at, let's say, this footer, and the footer they've designed as a responsive footer. What I mean the responsive footer, when I, let's say, change the size of the browser window, okay, still all the links appear one below the other. I'm able to see it. Okay, so let's see how to design the responsive footer. So I've already, let's say, returned the code. I'll just explain it to you. Now I reduce the size of the browser window. You see, still you're able to see all the links, right? Okay, so this is what you mean by responsive this thing. Now when I maximize the browser window, they are all spaced out. See, when I keep minimizing, okay, the space between the different columns are minimized, but still everything is visible. So this is what is called as a responsive footer, right? Right. So now when you, let's say, look at the footer, okay, you have, let's say, this header. There are actually 4 columns. Each column you have a header with an underline. Here I have not activated the link, but when you move the mouse pointer, okay, you see it, let's say it adds a margin. Okay, so the same way you see, what I have done is I've just increased the left margin. So it gives the impression that the text is moving whenever the link is activated. And then follow us on Facebook, Twitter. What I have done is here, I have not given the text Facebook, Twitter. I have given the icons. So I'll tell you how I've got this icons. So I've got all these icons using a special, special font that is called as a awesome font. So here when you look at the link, so so there is a site called as a cloudflare.com. In that you have the link for this. The font name is awesome. So you can go and search in Google. I say font awesome Syrian. Okay, so the first link you click cdnjs.com. So that will contain all the font libraries. Okay, so this font awesome will provide me all these icons like the Twitter icon, Facebook icon, okay, YouTube icons, everything. So all you need to do is the version 6.0. You can select any version you like. Okay, then copy the link, https. Here there is a link, right? all.min.css. Copy the link and then you need to paste it at the header section. Okay, link rel is equal to etc. So this link I have got it from CDN. Then when I style it, so all this link rel you need to type. So what this link exactly does, it gives me access to all the social media icons. Here you see I've got a Facebook, that is this icon, Twitter, Instagram, okay, and then LinkedIn, right? So here what I have done is to display all this icons. So you need to use this CSS. Basically, I've downloaded the CSS. So in italics, I've included the class FAB, FA Facebook. F will give me the Facebook icon. FA Twitter will give me the Twitter icon, etc. So that is how I've got this icon. These are not pictures, right? These are just text. Okay. Fine. Then I've used a Google font called as a Poppins. So that also I have known. So you people know how to download from Google Fonts. I've told you in the last class. So you can say Poppins Google Fonts. Since I'm specifically searching for the font, it will Google font itself will display. Okay, Poppins. Right, so here I have this selected family tab. So this is the Poppins menu. Then from this, I've selected. So I've selected all this, let's say 300, 200, all the sizes I've selected, 300 till 700. So whenever I want a bigger size font, I can say font weight 500 or 600 or 700. I can set it to any value like. So if I display it in font 300, so it will be displayed in the normal size. So when I want a bigger size for the headings, I can go for 500 or 600 or 700. Right? Okay, so this is how, let's say, the Poppins font I've gone and to the Google and I copied and pasted the link here, Google APIs, etc. So I'll be able to use this font, and in the body tag I've given the font family as Poppins. Okay, so by default, let's say every text you display in the web page will be displayed in Poppins font. So what you see here, so this is for this, for the headings I've given a weight of 500, so it appears bolder. For the text I've used the normal size, that is 400, right? So when you look at this, so basically when you look at the design, right, you have a background color, right? So let's say with a black background, you can call it as a, let's say, your footer container. Within the container, I have 4 different columns. Okay, so in these 4 columns are let's say the list, unordered list, and every list item is a hyperlink. Right, and this is not a link, this is just a heading. So I've just given a heading and a underline and then all the hyperlinks. So for the second column I have 5 links, and the first and the third column I have 4 links, and in the fourth column I'm displaying all the social media links. Now here what I have done is I've just given anchor href, I've given hash, so it will link it back to the same page right now. So once you develop, let's say, the Twitter pages and other pages, you can link that, but you can just remove the hash. You can type the name of the HTML page. So when you take, let's say, a service based company or a let's say a product based company, so first, let's say in the links you have the company information about the services, policy, etc. Then get help, frequently asked questions, shipping, okay, order status and everything. Then let's say what are all the items they are selling, and then the social media link. So if you look at it, you see it has been, the footer has been centered, and normally, let's say, you have to give a background color that is different from the background color of the body. So because when you display a footer, anybody looking at the web page must be able to recognize it immediate by just looking at it. So if you give the same background color, okay, as the body, it will not be, there will be not be any clear demarcation. So when the body, when you're giving a lighter background color, you can give a gray color, dark gray or black, right? Okay, now you see how it is structured. So footer, I've used the footer tag. Similar, yesterday we saw the header tag, right, for displaying the navigational links and everything. Now I've used the footer class. Okay, class is equal to footer. So to specify all the common styling tags, I've created a class called as footer. And then within this, there are 4 columns. Okay, I have defined, let's say, this container. So you see, when I say container, you can see the black colored box. So here I'm going to create 4 columns and I'm going to place it in this container. So I've given the div as container, right? Then another, let's say, div as row, okay, and then the columns. Then you see I have footer column. I've given, let's say, 4 columns here. The first 3 columns I've just given the hyperlinks. Okay, last one I've used the social media icons. Okay, so for styling, I've let's say created 4 different classes: footer class, footer, container, row, and then the footer column. Right. So now here I just want to give the, the heading for the hyperlinks, company, and then this contains about us, etc., about all the company related information. Second column, you have get help. Let's say when the users have some queries, they can click on FAQ, frequently asked questions, and anything they want to know about shipping, returns policy, order status, they can use the appropriate hyperlink. Okay, then let's say what are all the items they are selling. Basically, I've assumed that it is an e-commerce site selling some items. So watches, bags, everything. They can click and move to the items and have a look at all the items. Then finally, for the social media links, okay, and here I've given a separate div, okay, called as social links. Class C, this FA Facebook F, okay, this points to the, I've got the Facebook icon. Next, I've given FA Twitter. I've got this Twitter icon, Instagram, etc. So all this, let's say this class is present where? In the CDN I have downloaded. CDN here, CloudFan. This again is a all.min.css. In the CSS file, okay, all the information about this fonts is available. Now, since let's say when you have a style sheet file locally, you just say link, href is equal to, you give the CSS file name. Now I've given the HTTPS, so this CSS will be downloaded from that CDNJS CloudFan website, right? So I've given the download link here. It will be imported from this website. Then I've given the link for the Google font. Now let us look at style sheet. So for the body tag, I've given the line height, font family, Poppins. So by default, if anything you display in the web page will be displayed in the Poppins font. Then for all the elements, I want to set the default margin and padding as 0. So okay, now when I say box sizing as border box, see, when you are for every element, when you give the border and the padding, okay, the size of the element, that also will be added to the size of the element. And then container, I'm setting the maximum width 1170. Okay, then margin, let's say automatic margin. Then row, okay, Then list style none I've given for the unordered list, because otherwise what will happen, the bullets will be displayed. I want to suppress the bullets, right? Then padding 15 pixel, right? Then column header 4, I've given the font size as 18 pixel for this header. For each hyperlink I've given a header, and for that I've set the size as 18 pixel, white color. Okay, margin bottom, font weight I've given 500. So for all the text, let's say the same font will be applied. Now for here, to make the headings bigger, I've set the font weight to 500. So by default, for the other text, the 400 will be taken. Since I've increased the font weight, the heading appears bolder and bigger, right? Then before H4, before displaying the heading, position absolute, then background color, height, okay, and the width is 50 pixel. Okay, for this. Then okay, now for what I want to do is I want to set the bottom for the list item. Here I given not last, and that is for the last element in the list. I don't want this to be applied. So when you say not last child, it will apply this margin for all the list item except the last element. Then put the column, that is in the column for all the hyperlinks that you see in these 3 columns, I'm setting the properties. Okay, capitalize, color, text decoration none is done. To remove the underline for the hyperlinks, font weight I've given 300 in this case. So this is font weight 200, Poppins font. This is 300. So let's say all your hyperlinks appear in a smaller font, your headings appear in a bolder font because of the font weight. Okay, display block. Okay, when you move the mouse pointer, what I'm going to do is I'm just changing the left margin. Okay, I've given the padding left 8 pixel. So the moment you remove the mouse pointer, the padding goes back to the default setting. So it gives the impression that the text is moving when you move the mouse pointer over that. So instead of this, if on mouse over, you can remove this and give a border. Okay, so the border will be displayed when you move the mouse over. When you take the mouse, the border will automatically disappear. And for the social media links, okay, display inline block, height and width, text align, and then the line height. So this is how, let's say, you see the footer, right? So we have seen, let's say, the header tag, footer tag, article, section, everything. So you can, let's say, add this footer to any web page you like. Okay, try down. So remember, this link tag you have to give in the head section, but don't include it within the style tag. It should be outside the style tag within the head section. So these links you don't have to write, you can just copy and paste from Google. And let's say one more important point you need to remember is, after I complete this web designing course, you are expected to take an online exam. Okay, the date, let's say they have not decided. I'll tell you about the date tomorrow. You'll be having an exam. You'll start preparing for the exam. So when you give the margin as auto for the container, so it will, okay, the content you display will be in this displayed in the exact center of the container. It will, let's say, divide the margin equally between the left and right. So footer column, see there are 4 columns, right? I'm display, let's say, fixing the width as 25%. So there are 4 columns. So within the container, they'll occupy the, let's say, the equal space. So when you're writing it, follow this indentation. Otherwise, it will be very confusing because there are so many DIVs. So let's say if you write everything without giving this indentation, you will find it very difficult to understand. And in case you have not closed any DIV, okay, and if the output is not displayed properly, it will be very difficult for you to locate the errors. So that is why you give all the indent everything properly. over this. Scroll down. And for the last column, there is an extra div for, let's say, the social media images. Over. Okay, so when you look at this, I've designed a full-fledged web page. What I mean by full-fledged web page? Here you see I have put a logo, right? So when you let's look at the website of any company, in the header, the logo will be present, and with that, the navigational links. Okay, and then you will be having that images and the text content like this paragraph, etc. Then let's say here you see I have a unordered list. Okay, paragraphs. Okay, so this is a can be called as a full-fledged web page which contains all the elements, let's say, except the footer. Now I've shown you the footer, right? If I want, I can add the footer over here, right? So I'll tell you, let's say, how I have designed this page. Okay, so this is done with a unordered list. Unordered list, and this has been float left. I have given to this is displayed in the left side, your logo. You see the link is displayed in the right side. So I've given the float as okay, left and right for these two, right? Then for the header, I've given a background color of white. And then for the body content, I've given a light background color. Okay, then I've given all the paragraphs and everything. Then if I want to add a footer, since I showed you the footer right now, right? The black colored footer can be added here. So there will be a clear demarcation between the header, the content, and the footer. Okay, so let us look at the source code of this web page. So here the font I've used is the Open Sans, and here when you look at the content, I have, let's say, the navigation. So the nav tag for giving the header. Okay, I've given the class, that is then container, and then the navigation. So these are the navigational links. Okay, then I have these paragraphs. Okay, the content. So I have I'm displaying the image in this section. In the next, let's say, article, I'm displaying all this text information. And then finally, okay, I don't have any aside and footer. And if I like to add, I can add a aside and footer in the future. So right now, let's say it is not necessary, I am not added. And I also put displayed my name. Okay, in the small, using the small tag here, you see it is displayed, the text is displayed in a smaller font. Okay, now your content can include images, text, then unordered list, ordered list, then paragraphs. Okay, so 3-column text, etc. in a newspaper website. You'll be having 3-column text, everything can be added into this body. Okay, fine. Now here I just have, let's say, what, header section, and then the container, the main the navigation section, and then the article section. Okay, so header I put it in a particular container, and then let's say all this text information or everything that appears in the body tag, I put it into another container so that the styling will be easy. Now why I have done this, because in the navigational links I'm using an unordered list. In the body tag also I have an unordered list. So I can, if I define a style for this, the formatting of this list should not disturb the unordered list I have in my body. So you put it in a different container and you style it differently, right? So now when you look at, let's say, this we do it in all the web pages, margin, padding. Okay, set it to 0 for all the elements by default, and then the font family. So body, I've given a background color. Okay, then the container, the maximum width I've given 1200 pixels. Okay, so it has left, let's say, it has reserved just the space of 1200 pixels for this, right? Then so margin 0 auto. Then the header I've given a background color of white. Then display block visibility, and logo I've given the float left, and navigation menu I've given the float at right. So it up here it is displayed in the left side, logo is displayed in the right side. Then for the unordered list, for the navigational links, I'm giving, let's say, I'm displaying the style as inline block so that they appear horizontally instead of vertically. But in the unordered list, I give in this brand, I am using the default style. Okay, style display inline block, and then navigation hyperlink. I'm given the padding, text decoration none. So because these are basically hyperlinks, and for the whole, when you move the mouse pointer, I'm changing the background color to red. So I've given it with a hover, hover, color red, and then for each and every section. So my section contains paragraphs, different headings, unordered list, image, right? Then I'm setting the width for the image, the content, article. So for all these things, I'm specifying the styles individually. Is it clear? So for all the every HTML elements, you give a class or an ID. Okay, so that the formatting of that particular section does not interfere. The same tag may appear in a different section. So if you give, let's say, this container and everything, okay, a class, the formatting of one section will not interfere with the formatting in the other section. Okay, right now. So when you store this Google font link in one HTML page, the same thing you can copy and paste in the other HTML pages also. You don't have to search and let's for it every time. noticed, okay, in the footer when I'm designing also, I've given put it in a container. So header also in this example, I put it in a container. So this is the convention that is being followed. And this is a free logo I've downloaded from Google. And this restaurant image is also a free image I've downloaded from Google. So you can search, download the images, and then you can try this example. Okay, so this paragraph content you can just copy paste from some website and try. So totally, let's say I have these 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs. In the 3rd paragraph, I have an unordered list. So each and every paragraph can be, let's say, considered as a separate article. Okay, then so I've just included this aside and footer. So later, if I want, I can add a footer and add an aside if necessary. Over. Okay, next we'll start with HTML forms. You would have come across HTML forms. Okay, now for example, let's say in Google, when I want to create a new email ID, so I go to Gmail. So when I click on create account, okay, now I say for myself, Google displays a form. Create what is your name, first name, last name, username, password. Okay, so this is can be is a form. Like this, you would have come across so many forms. Now just look at the form. So I have, let's say, this first name. Okay, now when I fill up the, see, I have a text box. Inside the text box, I have the placeholder text, tells me first name and then last name, username. So these are called as text boxes where you can enter a single line of text. Okay, then username, it gives me a suggestion. You can use letters, numbers, and periods. Password, and then this is called as a checkbox. Show password, and this is the buttons. So when I say a form contain lot of elements like text box. Okay, then I can have a multi-line text box. Then a checkbox like this. I can have a button. Okay, then option buttons, select list, etc. Okay, so we look at the form elements one by one. Fine. So I can, these are called as, let's say, buttons, check boxes, password field. So these are called as form elements. The HTML form will contain a group of form elements. Okay, now when I click the button while creating an email ID, what happens? I fill up my name, my username, password. Google, let's say, all the information I've entered will be submitted to the Google server. Then the Google server will give me the result page, whether I have let's say the email ID has been created or not. The same thing when you search for a particular topic in Google. Now, for example, let's say I want to know something about operating system. So here, if you see, like I have, this is called as a search box. In the search box, I enter some text. Okay, then Google will search for the particular topic, the keyword I type, so this is called as a keyword, and then it will display the results. So what Google has done, it has searched the server and it has displayed all the links where I can gather some information about operating system. Now, for example, here when you say, okay, you can also search for a particular product. Let's say I want to know something about Poco mobiles. Right? So it is first link it is showing is Poco India. Then let's say all the latest models of the Poco models. Okay, so this is the result page. I filled up a form and I submitted. So the Google has this is the result page the Google has sent me. Result page consists of is created after processing the data in the form. Okay, fine. Now I want to, let's say, know about the latest models, price list, Poco mobile phones. So I can go and search. Now when I click on this, see it is also displaying the Amazon link, poco.in. Right? So and now the same way when you go to Amazon or Flipkart and when you let's say purchase any item. So what happens here also, you need to fill up a form. Okay, now for example, let's say I just want to have a look at my account. Okay, and orders. Fine, here I have, let's say you have this search box. When I want to search for a particular order, I can, let's say, do it. Let's say now, for example, I just say mobile. Assume that, let's say, I want to buy a particular mobile. Okay, OnePlus. Click and select it. Then here you have the button. So when you click on add to cart, what will happen? The product I have selected will be added to my shopping cart. And buy now. Suppose let's say after having a look at it, I want to buy it later. I say add to wish list. I don't want to buy it immediately. Okay, the Amazon is taking my input and it has processed and it has given me the result. Okay, so continue shopping. So these are when you click on a button in a form. Okay, it will initiate an action or an operation. Okay, fine. Now when you look at the different form elements, you have input text control, submit button, input a radio button, checkbox, drop down list, option group, field set. We look at all this one by one. Okay, now when I say text box, input type is equal to text, I'll get a text box, right? I can input a single line of text in the text box. Okay, fine. Input type is equal to password. Here I also again I'll have the same text box, but the contents I enter will not be displayed to keep your password secure. Then input type is equal to email. I can enter an email ID and HTML will validate my input. Input type is equal to number. Suppose let's say I want to accept let's say the age of a person. So I cannot enter ABCD. So you can say input type is equal to number. It will accept only numbers. Then input type as checkbox. Okay, now let's say you are selecting, let's say, some pizza delivery form you're filling, and they've given a list of options for topping. You want to select, they've given 5 you want to select all the 5. You will have the checkbox next to each topping name. Then input type radio. Out of a group, you can select only one button. Okay, when you say payment option, so they would have given a lot of options: internet banking, debit card, credit card. I cannot select 2 payment options. I can select only one option, so that will be a radio button. Then input type is equal to button will give you a button. Color, and then input type is equal to file, then image, So these are the different controls. Now when I create a registration form, for example, I'll be giving a label, and next to the label or below the label, I'll display the text box. So here I might be having 10 text boxes. Then how will the user know what to enter? Add a label. Okay, so this is the input, HTML input control. This is the label which just displays some text. Okay, now let us see a simple example of a form. Now when you look at this, let's say I've given a label. Okay, for is equal to username. So this for, okay, attribute is used to associate the label with a particular control. So I've created a text box with a ID username, and I want to associate this label with the text box. So for that, with the for attribute, and whatever ID you've given should be specified here. And let's say everything should be included within form tag. There are some additional attributes for the form tag. So say method is equal to get, action is equal to say index.php. but we will not be using these attribute. Now we are using HTML. You can just create a form. Okay, you can style the form with the CSS, and you can do, let's say, all like structuring, layering and styling and everything. But when I click on the submit button, okay, so the form data should be processed by a server side code like PHP. I need to write a program in PHP or Java or .NET to process the form data. It cannot be done with your HTML. So now when you, let's say, in a Google search box, for example, when you go and type, okay, for example, let's say when you're searching for some information about Bangalore, I go and type Bangalore, right? So what happens when I type Bangalore? The Google has submitted the keyword I am searching for to the web server. So the web server in the Google website has searched and given me all the results. So the form data must be, okay, processed by a server side program. I need to write the server side program in PHP or Java or some programming language. It cannot be processed with HTML, right? Now I've got the results page, right? So the how the Google has generated this results page by a server side program, right? Okay, so in HTML, I cannot process the form data. I can only create a form. So we look at how to create a form, how to add different form elements, how to add the different attributes, and how to style the form with CSS. But we are not concerned with how to process the form data. Now I've given my name. When I click on send, okay, I'm not written any PHP code. So the action I just give blank. Okay, now text is equal to name ID, and then when I want the data to be compulsorily entered into the text box, I say required. What happens when I say required? I'll refresh it. I try to submit it without entering anything. It will display this thing saying, please fill out this field. In other words, I can't leave it empty. I need to input some value into this text box. Then only it will allow me to submit, right? So I add a required attribute to make sure that something is entered in the text box and it is not submitted. It is not submitting an empty string to the server side code, right? Right now. So then let us look at the other attributes. Then you can add something called as a placeholder text. So when I include a placeholder text, by default, when you display it in the HTML page, the placeholder text will be displayed. When you click, you can enter. When you start entering the data, this will automatically disappear, right? Okay, fine. So the placeholder, you give a, let's say, a text that will be displayed in the text field, text box by default. Okay, this is the placeholder attribute. Then you have one more attribute called as max length is equal to, let's say, 30. That is, I'm restricting the maximum number of characters. I cannot enter more than 30 characters into this. Okay, now to make things simple, instead of 30, I say 10. So you cannot enter more than 10 characters. When I try to enter the 11th character, it will not take it. Right? The max length attribute is used to what? To restrict the number of characters you can enter into the text box. Right? Right now. Suppose I say I can control this with the in the CSS we have done this, no, margin, padding, and font family. Okay, so add it into the header section. Then so by default for the body tab, I apply a margin. So I can control the appearance of the form. That's right, using the CSS. Okay, write down. Oh, so I've just given you a brief introduction to forms, and tomorrow we'll be discussing each and every form, let's say form element, how to accept a password, how to create a password field, right? How to create checkboxes and read the values. All that we'll be discussing tomorrow, right?